I don't want to be against Elon because like I was so excited that like your top video was Ray Kurzweil, and then I did your podcast, and we had some chemistry, so it zoomed up. Yeah. And I thought, okay, I'm going to beat Ray Kurzweil. So just as I'm coming up on Ray Kurzweil, you're like, and now a Lex Fridman special, Elon Musk, and he blew me out of the water. So I don't want to be petty about it. I want to say that I don't, but I am.
Yeah.
Many people think that he's shown that he's the most brilliant and capable person on the planet. I don't think that's what he showed. I think he showed that the rest of us have forgotten our capabilities. So he's like the only guy who has still kept the faith and is like, what's wrong with you people?
You know, you take companies like Tesla, and really, you know, the original Tesla, you know, sort of Elon was kind of doing sort of okay, but he just drove them. And because he had a really strong vision, you know, he would make calls that were always, you know, or well, mostly pretty good. I mean, the Model X was kind of a goofball thing to do.
But he did it boldly anyway. Like, there's so many people that just said, like, there's so many people that oppose him on the Falcon Wind door, like the doors.
Yeah.
From the engineering perspective, those doors are ridiculous. It's like
they are a complete travesty.
But they're exactly the symbol of what great leadership is, which is like you have a vision and you just go like.
If you're going to do something stupid, make it really stupid.
Yeah, and go all in.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, to Musk's credit, he's a really sharp guy.
Yeah, but you've been critical of Elon Musk in the past. In the crypto space, where do you stand on Elon's effect on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general these days?
Just say that to the extent that the Bitcoin community had any issue with Elon, it was just, you know, just this environmental, you know, uncertainty that he fueled in a couple of his tweets, right? Which I think just is very distracting.
Elon Musk, I think he seems to really be into vertically integrating his companies. I think a big part of that is because you have the sense what you want is to make sure that the things that you develop, you have ownership of, and that they enable further development of the adjacent parts, right? So it's not just this, you see a curve and you're blindly drawing a line through it. What's much more interesting is to ask, when do you have this proportional growth property? Because then you can also recognize when it breaks down. Like in an epidemic, as you approach saturation, that would break down. As you do anything that skews what that proportionality constant is, you can make it maybe not break down as being an exponential, but it can seriously slow what that exponential rate is.
He fully believes that we can, you know, we can go to Mars, we can colonize Mars.
Yep.
I mean, how crazy is it to just believe and dream and actually be taking steps towards it?
Yeah.
To colonizing Mars, when most people are like, that's the stupidest idea ever.
Yeah. Well, I'm in agreement with you on that. You know, two things. You know, one is it reminds me of Ben Franklin, who in his autobiography, you know, has a similarly childish, in the best sense of the word, unbridled imagination for what might become. You know, Ben Franklin's like, yeah, I got electricity, that's cool, but we'll be levitating soon. And we can't even begin to imagine what we are capable of. And of course, people are like, dude, that's crazy. And there's a guy, it's F.C.S. Schiller, some humanistic guy at the beginning of the 20th century. He's like, you know, lots of things that people think about may appear to be absurd to the point of obscene, but the reality is, historically, every fantastic innovation has generally been initiated by someone who was condemned for being a lunatic. And it's not that anything is possible, but surely things that we don't try will never manifest as possibilities.
Because it's not exponential, it's just a consistent set of like what you would call like S-curves, which is like it's constantly like breakthrough innovations nonstop.
That's a good point. Like, it might not actually be an example of exponential because of something which grows in proportion to itself, but instead it's almost like a benchmark that was set out that everyone's been pressured to meet. And it's like all these innovations and micro inventions along the way, rather than some consistent sit back and just let the lily pad grow across the lake phenomenon.
The standard arguments for why you might want to take the simulation hypothesis seriously, the simulation argument, right? In the case that if you're actually Elon Musk, let us say, there's a kind of an additional reason in that what are the chances you would be Elon Musk? Like, it seems like maybe there would be more interest in simulating the lives of very unusual and remarkable people. So if you consider not just simulations where all of human history or the whole of human civilization are simulated, but also other kinds of simulations which only include some subset of people. Like in those simulations that only include a subset, it might be more likely that they would include subsets of people with unusually interesting or consequential lives.
If you're Elon Musk,
you got to wonder, right?
It's more likely that
or
you're
if you're like if you're Donald Trump, or if you're Bill Gates, or you're like some particularly like distinctive character. You might think that add. I mean, if you just think of yourself into the shoes, right? It's got to be like an extra reason to think, that's kind of
so interesting.
Right.
So on a scale of like farmer in Peru to Elon Musk, the more you get towards the Elon Musk, the higher the probability.
You'd imagine there would be some extra boost from that.
Elon makes sense to me.
In what way?
He's doing what any sensible person should do. He's trying incredible things, and he's partially succeeding, partially failing.
To try to solve the obvious problems before.
Duh.
Yeah.
You know, but he comes up with things like, you know, I got it. We'll come up with a battery company, but batteries aren't sexy, so we'll make a car around it. It's like, great. Look what Elon did well. He amassed a lot of money. And then he plowed it back in, and he spun the wheel, and he made more money. And now he's got FU money. Now the problem is that a lot of the people who have FU money are not people whose middle finger you ever want to see. I want to see Elon's middle finger. I want to see
what do you mean by that? Or like when you say, I'm going to do the biggest possible.
He's going to do whatever the he wants.
Yeah.
Right? You.
And one of the things that I sort of loathe about Silicon Valley these days is that a lot of the high-flying successes are run by people who are complete jerks. But it seems like there's come this sort of mythology out of Steve Jobs that the reason that he succeeded was because he was super hard on people, and in a number of corners, people start going, oh, if I want to succeed, I need to be a real jerk.
Yeah.
And I've never worked for Musk. I know a number of people who have. Many of them that have said, and it's, you know, shows up in the press a lot, that Musk is kind of that way. That being a jerk has become a required style.
I don't have a criticism of Elon Musk. He's free to do whatever he wishes to do. It's his life. In fact, Elon Musk is the second largest supporter of Bitcoin in the world. So I think that the Bitcoin community tends to eat its own quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like, it tends to be very self-critical. And instead of saying, well, Elon is more supportive of Bitcoin than the other 10,000 people in the world, you know, with serious amounts of money, they focus upon, you know.
Yeah, this is strange. Eating your own is just.
Yeah, so I mean, I think he's free to do what he wants to do. Like, and I think he's done a lot of good for Bitcoin in putting it on the balance sheet of Tesla and holding it, and I think that sent a very powerful message.